All right. Well, as I was saying, thank you all so much for taking the time to be here to learn a little bit more about St. Edward's University and our PreHealth Professions track. My name is Mallory Mazzarella. I am Associate Director of Admission here at St. Edward's. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to just go over some basic Zoom housekeeping. So all of you are probably used to this format by now, but this is a Zoom webinar. So we cannot see you or hear you. You won't be able to turn your camera or microphone on, but we do invite you to interact with us throughout the presentation. So if you have questions, whether that's wanting to know more about how this might work with a particular major, or wanting to know about experiences you might have in the program, anything like that, feel free to type in your questions using the Q&A tool. You can submit those at any time during the presentation, and we'll hold on to them until the end, and then we'll have a Q&A session once the formal presentation is done. You can submit questions with your name attached or anonymously. After you type it out, there'll be a little checkbox that you can select which one. And so that way, whichever way you feel most comfortable submitting questions, we're happy to hear from you. The chat feature is disabled, so the only way that you'll be able to type in questions is using that Q&A feature. And so with that, I will go ahead and turn things over to our presenter to introduce himself and get started.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jason De La Rosa. I'm the Director of Career and Professional Development here at St. Edward's University. I've actually worked at St. Edward's University for about 17 years in a variety of different positions, so I absolutely love working here on the Hilltop, and really wish that y'all would be able to join us here on this beautiful sunny day in Austin. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation about pre-health professions. So when people think about pre-health professions, I think a lot of folks really go to the idea of, I want to be a doctor. And so the question is always, well, what do you want to be a doctor of? And so there are a lot of different options. The 6 that you see here on this slide: medical, dental, veterinary, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and nursing. Those are some of our most popular pre-health professions options, but we are here to make sure that students understand that they can pursue any pre-health profession or health professions option, and pretty much any major is going to get you there. So, one of the common ideas here is that, well, you have to be a biology or chemistry or biochemistry major to hit this point, and that's not entirely true. The data indicates that liberal arts institutions are actually where it's at right now. It used to be that you had to be a bio or a biochemistry major to get all the sciences through, but there's fewer and fewer students per year who are entering medical school, for instance, with that sort of background. So it used to be about a 90% students were coming from a science background, 10% from other, but now it's about 65% of students come from a natural science background. And we've seen a large number of our own students come and apply to medical school with philosophy degrees, kinesiology degrees, psychology, behavior, and neuroscience. So we want you to pursue what excites you, and we'll help you get there into any of the health professions options that you want. So what does pre-health mean? At the end of the day, medical and healthcare provision is about service to one's community. You're giving back to the community that you're a part of, but we also want to make sure that you understand the health professions. So admission standards have changed a whole lot for getting into medical school, dental school, vet school, all of these things. It used to be you get a great GPA, you'd get a wonderful standardized test score, but now it's a holistic application process. So they want those things that I just mentioned, but they also want to see how much healthcare exposure do you have in the field of interest for you? How much non-healthcare service have you done? Have you done any research? Have you taken on leadership positions at your university and on your campus? And the great thing is, at St. Edward's University, we're going to make sure you get all of those experiences in the right time, in the right place. It's also about ethical and responsible decision-making. So we want to make sure that we are teaching you those things. In fact, there's plenty of philosophy and ethics courses at St. Edward's University, which you will eventually take. So every time students are saying, well, why should we come to St. Edward's University to pursue pre-health? First and foremost, I want to talk about our record of success. You're going to see some numbers here later on in future slides about our success rates and how often people are getting into medical school, dental school, vet school, all of these things. And I think a lot of that really stems from the idea of individualized attention. We are making sure that there is a team of people here on this campus to support you, to make sure you're getting the support that you need in your classes, that you're getting a success coach, that you're getting a career coach, that you're getting a faculty advisor and mentor, to make sure you're getting all the individualized attention to make sure you are going to stand out from the crowd when it eventually comes time for you to apply to the health profession of your choice. We're also a mission-driven institution. People might be asking, well, why does that matter? At the heart of the St. Edward's University mission is a commitment to social justice and a commitment to one's community. And those are really big pieces of pretty much any health profession school you're looking at right now. They want to make sure that you're getting into this, not because you want to make a whole lot of money. That might be a thing. You can tell me that in private, but we're not going to say that out to anybody who asks, why do you want to be a doctor? We want to talk about the service you're going to provide to the community that you're a part of that is dedicated to helping those who may not have access. We're going to work with you to make sure you get a customized plan. So some students might say, hey, I want to work in some study abroad. I want to work in Peace Corps after I graduate from university and then apply to medical school. We're going to talk through some things that every student should be doing if this is their journey and their path, but there's some certain things we want to work on with each individual student that's going to be unique. And of course, we're going to connect you to the experiences that you need to really stand out from the crowd. And really, like I mentioned before, teamwork makes the dream work. Every student at St. Edward's University is going to be paired up with a success coach who's going to work with you on your sequencing and curriculum. They're really going to dig in deep on your year one overview, but then you're going to keep working with that person all the way through until graduation. But they're really going to kind of lay out, here are all the things you should expect in the years to come. And they'll keep checking in with you as time goes on. Every student also gets a career coach based on major and discipline. So the career coach is going to work with you on your resume development, talk to you about your goals, make sure you're getting connected to the opportunities that you need that I mentioned before. So the healthcare exposure, service opportunities, leadership opportunities, and things like that. In career and professional development, which is the office I'm part of, we have a programming events coordinator. So throughout the year, we are going to have a number of programming and event opportunities for all disciplines, all majors, but we probably host anywhere from about 20 to 40 pre-health specific programs and events. So we'll bring in the deans of the medical schools, we'll bring in different people who are healthcare practitioners and providers. We have a lot of alumni who like to give back, and they'll host information sessions about what their journey was like here on the Hilltop and what their journey was like in their health profession program in the early days of their jobs. I'm the director of career and professional development, and so I'm going to work with students when they get to their application season to make sure that you really stand out as an applicant. We're going to fill out an application, we'll do a review, we'll do some interview preparation. And another program that we are in partnership with is something called JAMP. It's the Joint Admission Medical Program, which I will talk about later. If you are interested in that, that is a really great opportunity. It's a pipeline for underrepresented students in the state of Texas to basically get early admission into a Texas public medical school. And of course, you have your wonderful faculty members. They're going to work with you on your coursework, getting connected to research opportunities, and really just be really great mentors for you. As I mentioned before, career and professional development is here for all students. But if we think about what this really does for pre-health students specifically, it's the things we talked about a moment ago. So connection to service, healthcare. Pre-COVID, we were doing about 1 or 2 tours per semester where we would kind of load up on a bus and we would go and tour a medical school for a half day or a full day and then come back to Austin. And of course, these sort of things have always been free to St. Edward's University students. So hopefully the time will come soon when we can do that again safely. But stay tuned when you enroll at St. Edward's for how to take part in those sort of opportunities. When you eventually apply to medical school, dental school, vet school, all these things, you're going to be expected to write what's called a personal statement. So we go through an extensive personal statement review process with every student. We're going to do a lot of interview practice and critiques to make sure students are doing well. And of course, we're going to talk about values and vocation. It's why. Why do you want to do what it is that you want to do? Just kind of stepping outside the pre-health world for a little bit, there is a survey that goes out to all of the employers all across the country every single year. And everybody assumes that major is the most important thing. Well, kind of, sort of, not really. if we look at what those competencies are that they're looking for in students when they're going into professional school or being hired right after undergraduate graduation, the number one thing is problem solving and critical thinking. And that is one of the tenets of St. Edward's University. We're going to make sure that you know how to think and that you're able to apply that. And of course, we are located in Austin, Texas. Austin has a number of wonderful, wonderful opportunities to help get you connected to service, to help get you connected to places like Dell Medical School in town, who usually collaborates with us on some really great information sessions and other events. And hopefully we'll get you connected to some really wonderful healthcare exposure as well. But we want you to get connected to not only the St. Edward's University community, but we also want you to get connected to the Austin community. We host a number of pre-health events on campus every year. Those events have all been virtual for the past year and well, I guess since about almost a year ago and a week ago to the day. And so these events will have JAMP information sessions. The picture you're gonna see on the very bottom there is our suture clinic. And so every year we partner up with one of the armed services who will do a health profession scholarship program. And they bring something for us to practice sutures on. So that is a really wonderful event. And we usually have a great number of students turn up for that event. And we really, really would like for y'all to do it as well. And we are all about giving back to the community. So the picture that you see that has students and flyers and where it says Dental Club on there, that is our annual Share the Love event. So we usually get each pre-health organization on campus to partner up with some organization in the city of Austin to raise funds to help serve their clients and other partners. This is just a really quick sampling of some of the health professions visits and tours we've gone on in the past couple of years. Sometimes they will come to us, other times we will go to them, and other times they're taking place in a Zoom setting, even before Zoom was a thing with COVID. So some of the schools that are pretty far away, like Georgetown University, for instance, we weren't taking trips out to visit Georgetown School of Medicine, but they were coming in for video conferencing to provide information for our students. Now, I do this to not scare anybody, but to just kind of give a realistic picture of what the odds are, right? So this is a competitive road ahead. These are the numbers of acceptance, for GPA and standardized test scores for medical school and dental school in the state of Texas. And so if you do some real quick math, you'll see that the medical school acceptance rate for Texas public med schools is about 26.8% acceptance rate. Dental is between 30 and 33% acceptance depending on the year. Just for those of you who might be curious, the range of the MCAT is 478 through 528. That's the test you'll take if you're trying to get into medical school. The DAT is the test you will eventually be taking to get into dental school, and the range there is 1 to 30. All right, so keep those numbers in mind, right? So 26.8-ish% for medical school acceptance, 30 to 33% acceptance rates for dental. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about our dental success rates here at St. Edward's University specifically. So we've put up the data for the last few incoming classes. The students who will be starting medical or dental school in fall of 2021. Those numbers have not been published yet, so I don't have them to provide to you, but I always like to point out there is a big difference between the students who are taking full advantage of their resources and those who say, I'm gonna do this on my own. So you are able to use career and professional development services for life. Once you're a student at St. Edward's University and you graduate from St. Edward's University, you will have access to us for life. So if we kind of take a look back, for several years in a row, the students who utilize pre-health services through career and professional development were getting in 100% acceptance rate. So if we're saying 80% on our worst year, and then 100% on our usual years of those who use services, that is a stark difference between the Texas numbers at large, right? So we're saying if it's 30 to 33% acceptance rates, we're always well above that. But then you can take a look at those who did not use services. So those are probably closer to, actually a little bit below, the regular acceptance rates. Moving along to medical, just because I know this is usually one of the more popular areas, I do want to show those acceptance rates as well. So again, we want to pay close attention to the students who utilize services versus those who did not utilize services. So fall of 17, fall of 18, that was at the very start of us beginning our pre-health program at the university. We had 100% acceptance rates for those who utilize services. Fall of 19, that dipped a little bit. And so a lot of it really had to do with timing, right? So this is a very competitive process, and timing is really important as to when you apply, when you fill out a thing called a secondary application. I don't want to get too far into it there. But of all the students who were rejected in fall of 19, it usually had something to do with the application or the timing of the application or their standardized test score. Same thing applies in fall of 20. So if we're still saying though, our worst year was 53.85%. That is still significantly higher than the 26, 27% acceptance rates that we talked about for the state at large. And then if you look at those who did not utilize services, those are still at 0%. So main thing is, when you come here to St. Edward's University, we want to make sure you're getting connected to your career coach, your success coach, and then eventually you'll be working with me directly to get your application ready. But that's not all. We do want to talk a little bit about entry rates for other programs. So we have nursing students going into nursing programs, physical therapy, occupational therapy. Other areas that we serve are pharmacy, optometry, public health, and more. It's just that a lot of students don't end up applying to those programs by the time they hit their senior year or junior year with us. So the numbers you see here are the ones who we are aware of who have applied. So remember when I promised earlier that we would talk about JAMP? So I would encourage people to take a look at the texasjamp.org website. And for that, they're asking that basically this is a guaranteed admission to a Texas public medical school if all criteria are met. This program is to provide personal and professional development through dedicated mentoring, and also gives comprehensive multi-phase MCAT preparation and 2 guaranteed summer internships. So you would essentially either apply as an early admission student. So if you are a senior in high school right now and you know that you completed via dual credit or maybe AP credit, general chemistry 1 and 2, and you're coming in basically with more than 30 hours, we might want to talk about whether or not JAMP is an opportunity for you. But most students apply what's called the traditional track. And so students tend to apply that summer between their freshman and sophomore year of college, and they will have completed ideally 8 hours of biology, 8 hours of chemistry. They will have a 3.25 GPA overall, as well as a 3.25 GPA in what is called your BCPM. So that's biology, chemistry, physics, math. As a pre-health student at St. Edward's University, you're going to hear that term a lot from me because those are some key metrics that they tend to look at. So take a look at JAMP. If you have any questions about JAMP, feel free to reach out to me later on as well. But I would say always kind of take a look at their main requirements. The other big requirement for JAMP is that they are looking for underrepresented populations, and the way they define that is based on socioeconomic status. And so when you do your FAFSA, there's a little number at the top that says estimated family contribution. They're looking for students who filled out that EFC, or who, when it generates the EFC, that is showing $8,000 or less per year. I would also like to talk about where our students are going. So I think that we have had a student accepted to every single Texas public medical and dental school, with the exception of one. We haven't had a student crack into Dell Medical School as of yet, but they have gotten multiple interview offers. I think part of the reason that though is that they just started and they were only admitting 50 students per class year. And so when they're getting, I don't know, about 10,000 applications and they're only letting 50 students in, it can be a pretty tight race. And so I think that we'll be getting into Dell Med School very, very soon. We also had a student who was just recently admitted into the medical school in San Antonio, Texas, and got a $100,000 scholarship. And just for those of you who might be curious, medical school costs in the state of Texas anyway is about $20,000 to $25,000 a year. So the student essentially got a free full ride into San Antonio's med school. And medical schools, dental schools, vet schools, all these health professions programs do not tend to offer scholarship money. So the fact that we have had a student, I think every single year for the past several years, get some scholarship offers is pretty impressive. And I'm really proud of our students here. I would also like to talk a little bit about some of our pipelines. So students feel a lot of pressure. There's a lot of stress in the application process, but I do want to let you know that the programs that you see here on this slide, we have a partnership with them, which will either give us guaranteed interviews or guaranteed seats in the program. So students who want to basically get 2 degrees in 5 years and want to go on to Baylor's nursing program, this is what's called a 4+1. So students would come to St. Edward's, complete a degree here, complete Baylor's 1-year Bachelor of Science in Nursing program, and having 2 bachelor's degrees at the end of 5 years is going to make you much more marketable and hopefully increase your earning potential. If you're interested in pharmacy, you would basically do 4 years here at St. Edward's University in a major of your choice, do the prerequisites, and then you would go on to hopefully get a guaranteed interview at Notre Dame of Maryland University pharmacy program, which is located in Baltimore. Sometimes students decide, you know what, I need something else. I need to increase my GPA, get more healthcare exposure, or maybe both before I'm able to qualify for medical school, dental school, or some other health profession program. And so they might go to our friends over at Greenville, South Carolina, Furman University, for their Master of Science in Community Engaged Medicine. And so sometimes students just need what's called a gap year or a gap period in between to really work on some other parts of their application to become more attractive applicants. Finally, we have a partnership with the University of the Incarnate Word down in San Antonio, Texas. We have partnered with them for their medical school, Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, their physical therapy program, pharmacy program, and optometry program. So in all of those, there are at least guaranteed interviews. And for the medical school and the physical therapy program, we actually have guaranteed seats per year. And so you would want to get connected to both your career coach and success coach early on to get a basic understanding of what it is you would need to qualify for each of those so we can get you on the right track right away. Of course, we're always happy to connect, right? So you can connect with the Career and Professional Development Office at scucareer@stedwards.edu. You can call us, or you can visit our new career site, and that is career.stedwards.edu. I would encourage people, if you're going to visit that career.stedwards.edu website, that you take an opportunity to go and visit the career community and then look at PreHealth Professions. That will give you a good glimpse of what to expect as a St. Edward's University student in PreHealth Professions. So again, I'm just going to flash our contact information here, which might be a little bit cleaner. And that will also provide some information about how to get in contact with the admissions office.
All right, thank you so much. And so again, for those of you who may have questions for Jason right now, if you want to submit things via the Q&A, we'll be happy to answer them. I see we have one already. If anyone has questions about the admission process or anything like that, I'll also be typing responses back to you. And then please do feel free to utilize the contact information that was there or what you can find on our website to reach out to us directly if you have more individualized questions. But again, feel free to ask those during the presentation as well. So we have one question that's already been submitted. Is JAMP only applicable for medical school and not dental school?
That is correct. So JAMP is specifically for medical school students. There are no early admissions programs for dental school in the state of Texas, at least.
But of course, you know, as students enroll, you'll have kind of the full support of our team working with you if dental school is your next step goal. And so again, all right, we have another question. What sort of mentorship opportunities does St. Edward's offer?
Yeah, so I think that, of course, you're going to get connected to faculty mentors. And so they're going to work with you on trying to parse out, how do we get you connected to the right research? How are you doing in terms of your courses and your classwork? And then I think there's a lot of mentorship happening with the success coaching team as well as the career coaching team. I think we are here to guide you in every step of the way. So we see students who come in day one and they know they want to be a doctor or a dentist or a physical therapist. And so we're going to help get you connected to the classes you need. We're going to talk to you about, well, why do you want to do this? And let me help you get connected to the people and the places that I know to make sure you're getting those things. Because if I'm not a doctor. And so I wouldn't necessarily want to say or pretend that I can mentor you in that way. And so I want to help get you connected to shadowing a doctor so that that doctor can mentor you. So there's a closely connected bubble of mentorship on campus. We also want to connect you to some mentors that might be more helpful for your career path off campus.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And then one other thing that I want to mention briefly, and then you may want to jump in here with some more information about the career coaches. But we've mentioned success coaches and career coaches a couple times during this presentation. The success coaches, for those of you who may not be familiar, all students as they're coming into the university will be assigned a success coach who's there to work with you to help you build your schedule, help you kind of start out in college, and then you'll continue to work with that person as a point of contact throughout your time at the university. And so they're doing the work of an academic advisor, but they do take that a little bit further as well, that they're also there to help you think critically about how to plan ahead for, something you may want to do as a junior, how to prepare yourself as a freshman to become a more competitive applicant, and even just how to kind of be a whole fulfilled person on our campus. What are you doing to take care of yourself outside of the classroom? What are you doing to connect socially with your peers? So it's a really holistic approach to working with students. And that's something that's not even unique to pre-med. That's something that every single student at St. Edward's will receive in any of our programs.
Yeah. And same thing with career coaches. So the career coaches and the success coaches and the faculty members all work together to make sure that you're being supported. So if you're meeting with your success coach and like, hey, go meet with your career coach to kind of figure out why you want to do this and what sort of experiences are going to supplement what you're learning in the classroom, that's where we're really going to come into play. And so if you ever decide I'm going to change majors or I'm going to change my path, you still have a success coach and career coach who's going to be specialized in the area that you are going into.
Yes, absolutely. So we have another question. Are there internships or partnerships with hospitals, clinics, et cetera, in the Austin area? And what kinds of hands-on opportunities are there?
Yeah, so Austin, every city is a little bit different in terms of how they work with pre-health students. Austin is one in which they want to see that the student is being an independent learner and an independent thinker. And so we can give you all the resources, say, hey, I want you to reach out to this hospital, this clinic, and here's how you're going to do it. But if I basically hand it to you and say, hey, here, go off into the wilderness and go talk to these people, and I'm arranging the introduction, that healthcare provider is going to think that it got handed to you. And so we want to show that we're going to give you the skills and the tools to make sure that you can have that intro conversation, that you're able to network on your own with our support kind of in the background. So if you've got like a little earpiece talking to you through things, that's what we are for you. So we do have some clinics that we tend to work with closely, and they tend to take a lot of our students, even if it's not formalized on paper.
And then I don't know if you have these off the top of your head, but do you know in particular of like examples of places that students have gone or organizations that students have worked with, if you're able to share that?
Yeah, so we work very closely with Austin's VA clinic, so the Veterinary Administration Clinic. They are huge fans of St. Edward's University. We have what's called our Breaking Into the Health Professions Fair every single, we moved it to fall, it used to be in the spring. And so we bring in a lot of different healthcare providers who are willing to take on students in either shadowing opportunities, administrative capacities, or potentially internships. But one thing to know is that in health professions world, they don't usually do an internship. They'll call it like shadowing or observation hours. And so that's something there. The students who are really interested in veterinary work, we tend to partner up with POS Veterinary Clinic in Austin pretty regularly. The Michael and Susan Dell Center for Healthy Living tends to offer a public health internship that is only reserved for St. Edward's University students, Houston Tillotson students, and Concordia students, but we have won that thing 5 of the last 7 years. So it's a really competitive one, and we make sure we get students trained up for it because I'm competitive, and so I like to see that we keep winning that for us, and we've had a good track record so far.
Glad to hear it. So I think it looks like that's all the questions that were submitted so far. Again, students, if you have more, please feel free to continue typing those in. Is there anything additional that maybe advice that you would have for students as they're setting out on this path if they think that the health professions might be a good fit for them?
Yeah, I think the biggest way to figure out if this is for you is to talk to people who are doing it. I think that one of the things that we sometimes see is somebody will hit their junior or senior year and they're reaching out for the first time. They're like, I think I want to be a doctor. We're like, where have you been? We want to talk to you. So we want to get students connected to us from day one. So when you're coming through orientation in the summertime, let your success coach know right away. Let your career coach know right away. This is your aspiration. This is your path. Because we'll add you to our mailing list. We want to make sure you come to all of our events. And we want to make sure we're getting you connected to somebody. And so this field that I always tell people, there can be a lot of rejection. So we've had students who are like, hey, I want to shadow a doctor. I'm like, okay, let's reach out to 20 people. They're like, 20 people, that's a lot. I'm like, well, 10 of them don't ever check their email, so it has nothing to do with you. Another 10 might be interested, and then they kind of, or another 5 might be interested, but they keep forgetting to follow up with you. And then the other 5 might be the ones who are really going to go for it. So we just cast a wide net. And we're going to walk you through. It's okay if somebody just doesn't respond to you. It doesn't mean anything about you. That's just kind of how competitive this field is. I feel like I went on a tangent there. But we want to get you connected to us early and often, and we want to get you connected to a healthcare provider early and often. And I usually tell people, start with your own healthcare provider. So you have your own doctor, dentist, or whatever it is that you want to do. Ask them, hey, do you mind if I just come in and watch what you do for a couple of hours? Or even do an informational interview to just ask them some questions about their field and their own journey.
That's awesome. That's really helpful. And actually the thing you were talking about with kind of preparing students for learning to reach out, knowing that they might get some of that rejection, they may not hear back from everybody. That's a really good life skill that students will use in any field that you go into, because you get a lot of that, as you're coming out of college in any field, applying for your first job, looking for those things. And so if you kind of get used to that early on, you'll be in a good position regardless of what field you decide to go into. All right, so it looks like that was all of the questions that we had submitted. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up, but thank you everyone for taking the time to be here. Again, if you have additional questions or you want to reach out to us individually, please contact the Office of Admission. We will make sure to put you in touch with the appropriate person to answer your question, regardless of what that is. And we really look forward to hearing from you and hopefully having you on campus as a student.
Thanks so much, everybody. It was great chatting today.